Hello and welcome to my top 10 favorite hard demons. This is part of an ongoing series where I rank my 10 favorite demons of each difficulty. This episode is, just like all the others, going to be in a playlist in the description, so if you want to watch all the other episodes before this one, you can go ahead and do that. Also, as per usual, just remember that these are opinions and they're subjective and they're biased, and of course, it's okay if you disagree with me on some of these. So for those of you who know me well enough or have watched enough of my content, you're probably not shocked to learn that Words by N-Level and Salaxium has made the list. This level is very sentimental to me, and it is unfortunately one of those levels that would disappoint me when I actually went around and played it, but I had a lot of nostalgia and sentimental value to this level because, you know, I remember seeing this level when it came out. I remember as bad as this kind of is for a level like this, I remember seeing it on a school computer watching YouTube, right? And because of that, there's a ton of nostalgia for this level, but yeah, the reason it's the lowest on the list isn't just because there are 9 levels that are better than this. It is because the gameplay in this level is rather questionable. And I also don't like the quote-unquote joke that is the LDM, where the level tells you to kill yourself and calls you the F-slur for, you know, getting rid of lag. Like, great, that's fantastic. It's like, if you didn't want to make an LDM, don't make an LDM. I don't get it. The thing is, this would be a lot higher on my list if it wasn't for the fact that the gameplay in this level did turn out to be incredibly flawed, and this is also a level that could easily be replaced on this list. It wouldn't take that much to dethrone this out of my top 10 favorite hard demons. Actually, probably should address this as a whole for this series going forward. Hard demon onwards are where we get to the territory where I haven't beaten as many levels as I have medium and easy demons, so I'm not as experienced in this, so, you know, Words, I like it more because of the nostalgia, right? But I can definitely admit that it has flaws, and that's why it's so low down. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't like this level, and I'd be lying if I said the song choice alone didn't make it worth it, because I just like Bo Burnham, and that's what it comes down to. This is a interesting level, at the very least. Basically, this level probably wouldn't have made the list if I just had a wider scope in experience with hard demons. This is a very okay level, but with more experience, it's definitely gonna fall out of my top 10 favorite hard demons, that's for sure. Next up, we have Ultra Drivers, and dude, this level is so cool. This is just like a really fast-paced Laser Blitz duel level, and the only reason it's this low and not higher is because this is a level that I lack a lot of motivation to play, but it's so cool. It's such an energetic, fast-paced level, and it just screams 2.0. It's got a very messy decoration style, but messy in a way that I like. It's a very chaotic level, and I don't know. I really like Ultra Drivers. But yeah, the reason this is low is because I have a hard time motivating myself to want to play it, as I said, and the reason for that is because for some reason, every time I look at this level, I convince myself it's worse than it is. I look at a lot of different parts in the level, and I think, wow, that plays like garbage, and then I do a practice run, and I find it completely free, and I really enjoy it. Like the speed portal UFO towards the end, right? This is a garbage section, even if it's easy as hell. Like, I just don't like the idea of dodging speed portals because they have really bad hitboxes. But the thing about that is, like, you expect this to play badly, and then you play it in practice, and it just somehow plays better than you expected it to, which means I enjoy it more fresh out of a practice run than I do in hindsight, right? Which is super weird. Even recording this, I just botted it, and I was shocked by how much I enjoyed it in the practice run. Super weird how that works, but this is a level where you enjoy it more in the moment than in retrospect, and that's super weird. And that being said, I do have motivation issues, and that's the literal only reason this is lower, but I love this level. It's a ton of fun, and it definitely deserves to make the list. Next up, we have Theory of Everything 3. A lot of why I love this level realistically comes down to aesthetics. This is, in my opinion, the perfect sequel to TOE 2. I don't know why, but it just captures the magic of Theory of Everything 2 so perfectly while also standing on its own and being unique. There isn't really any parts in this level I dislike. There might be some parts that I'm not a big fan of gameplay-wise, but all of the ideas this level brings to the table are really cool, and in general, this level is just really cool. There's the part where every time you click, it rotates the blocks in the section. There's the ship parts with the rotating obstacles, which was very unique when this level came out. But yeah, this is definitely a level that I really enjoy playing and I think is a ton of fun. Unfortunately, there are some parts that don't play the best, and that's what made it go a little lower down the list, but I love this enough to definitely make it crack the top 10. I think if I can put it this way, this level is the only level that I've ever said that RobTop couldn't outdo when it comes to RobTop level remakes. Like, if we ever get an official Theory of Everything 3 from RobTop himself, I don't think it'll be better than TOE 3, right? I do not think that TOE 3 by RobTop would be better than TOE 3 by Manix. It's just too well executed. So yeah, that's why I like this level so much, is thinking about it, like, Theory of Everything 2 is my favorite RobTop level, and this is a flawlessly executed sequel to Theory of Everything 2. So of course I'm gonna like it. Again, I do have a couple issues with the gameplay here and there. They're so minor that they're not even worth bringing up. So my next pick is probably one of the least controversial opinions I've ever had, mainly because of how many people seem to like this level. Like, to put this into perspective, this is Eric Van Wilderman's favorite demon, right? And that's Forest Temple by Michigan. Like I said, I feel like everyone's gonna understand this one making the list, and the only thing controversial about this pick is something that's going to be up later in the list, combined with the fact this is somewhat low down. Forest Temple is lower on the list for one specific reason, and that's mainly balancing issues. This level is Choke Point City, and don't get me wrong, pretty much all of the Temple series is Choke Point City, but with Forest Temple being the hardest level in the series, it's the one where you notice the choke points the most. That being said, the theming in this level and the gameplay, which realistically just feels like a series of challenge levels, it's all fun. Forest Temple is a fantastic level, it's really well built, and this level's a blast. I can't recommend it enough. So for number 6, I went with Shadow Monster. Wait, who the fuck made this level? Oh shit, Rakirez? Yeah, so this level based off that reaction, actually, because I'm gonna leave that in because that actually kind of makes a point pretty well. Yeah, no one has heard of this fucking level. It is super unknown, and it's one of the most obscure things that I've beaten. Aside of maybe New Beginning 2 by SM Blacktime, which I only beat because I beat every rated level that uses Never Be Alone by the Fat Rat as a joke. But even then, I still think Shadow Monster is more obscure than New Beginning 2. I mean, put it this way, I know who SM Blacktime is. And Shadow Monster as a level, it's obscure, and you can tell it's obscure. I mean, I haven't even talked about the level yet. Just look at it. It's exactly what it looks like. It's just your stereotypical old jank 2.0 demon, but it's also just a really funny level. Like, I've always thought this level was hilarious ever since the day I discovered it. The story behind this level is actually why it makes the list, because this level is insanely memorable to me for specifically why I discovered it. So, shout out to The Wild Seal. They're a really good content creator, and I'm pretty good friends with them. I highly recommend you subscribe to their channel, and I will put it down in the description. Basically, they made a wheel, and by wheel I mean like the randomization wheels that content creators like to use. They made a wheel where their Discord server submitted a bunch of levels to them for them to beat. I asked for a copy of it because I thought it'd be funny if I just botted stuff on the wheel and spun it, and I rolled Shadow Monster, and I started botting it, and my first reaction while botting it was, I think I can beat this, so I did. I absolutely crushed this level, and it was a ton of fun, and ever since, this level has kind of been a massive inside joke between me and a couple friends. It is really funny, but even beyond that, you look at a level like this, and you'd assume that it plays like fucking horseshit, but it doesn't. It's actually one of the best playing hard demons I've ever played. Like, this level doesn't look good at all, but the gameplay in this is legitimately fun. There might be a bug here and there, and there might be an odd double click you have to do to adjust in the UFO, but for the most part, it plays really well, and that's really shocking for a level that looks like this. So I guess take that as a recommendation if you want to beat something a bit more obscure. But yeah, this level's a ton of fun, and the only reason it's a little bit lower down on the list is just because, yeah, this level looks like garbage. But if anything, that kind of adds to it for me. So for my next level, I have Can't Let Let Troll. Now, I immediately want to say something about this one. There is a risk that this one could immediately date this video, specifically because this level is teetering on the edge of Hard Demon and Medium Demon, and I could 100% see this getting downrated to Medium Demon, but it's a Hard Demon as of recording this video, and so I'm gonna mention it. And if, you know, this level does get downrated to Medium Demon, I guess just replace it with one of the honorable mentions and put that honorable mention at the bottom. I don't know. But either way, I wanted to mention this level because this is actually a very similar situation to Shadow Temple. A level that, when you look at it, just looks like it's gonna be a garbage, old, out-of-date level, but just shockingly ends up being fun. Here's the gist of what this level is, okay? It's Can't Let Go, but almost everything that would be in the normal path in Can't Let Go is a fake. So it's just Can't Let Go with a bunch of fakes. That's what this level is. And, you know, if that was all it was, this level wouldn't make the list, but there is one reason it did, and that's this ended up being one of the most positive experiences I've ever had with a level. I don't know why, but this level is so irrationally fun. Now, if you hate memory, you're not gonna like this. If you're the type of person that doesn't like to have a high attempt count on an easier level, you're not gonna like this. But I thought this was worth the time sink because it's kind of weird how you memorize this level. And I don't know if this was intentional, but say you have a bulk of things to memorize. Like, oh, okay, I do the normal path here, and then I fall into this fake, and then on that fake I jump 2 times, and then I fall, and then I jump again. You can take that bulk of gameplay and just remember it as play the part normally, but fall under a specific type of structure that looks like this. And it just suddenly makes the whole part intuitive. It's really hard to explain, but you almost like combine all of the memory into one singular thing you have to memorize. It's very strange that I ended up feeling this way about the level, but yeah, Can't Let Troll ended up being some of the most fun I've ever had with a memory level, which is just really funny when you consider that this is basically just buffed Can't Let Go, and the only way they buffed it was add fakes. I don't know, there's something amusing about that to me. So for my number 4 pick, I went with Fairy Dust. Now, you'll notice that 9 Circles has not made the list, and there's a very good reason for that. 9 Circles is a level that is so close to being on this list, but it didn't make the list just because of like 1 or 2 flaws that overall end up making me not like the level. That being said, it started a trend that I do like, being the 9 Circles trend, and Fairy Dust is one of my favorite levels in that trend. Fairy Dust is basically if you took 9 Circles and you got rid of the N-Cube entirely. Now, is that a good way to fix the N-Cube? No. I think you could have had the N-Cube and made it good. I will say, having it not be there at all is still preferable to having the 9 Circles N-Cube. Beyond that, the pre-drop is really short and the focus is on the wave, and I do tend to prefer just focusing on the wave in Circles levels because that's what I go into them for. Not to say that having a harder pre-drop than the drop is bad with Circles levels necessarily, it's just a preference thing. And Fairy Dust to me just ticks all the boxes of basically just being a better 9 Circles, and that's kind of the main reason I like it so much, is Fairy Dust just feels like a carbon copy of 9 Circles, but it also feels like a better level than 9 Circles to me. So for the number 3 pick, you guys remember back when I said that the only thing that's controversial about my Forest Temple placement is another level that I put above it? This is that level. Desert Temple by Michigan is my number 3 pick, and in my opinion, in general, I just think this level is very slept on because Forest Temple kind of overtakes it and kind of casts a shadow on it a little bit. Desert Temple is basically just the little brother of Forest Temple. It's a very similar level. It's got similar strong theming. It's got, you know, it's one of the only Temple series to have a, you know, Newground song rather than a Rob Top song, and the gameplay does feel relatively similar. However, the reason Desert Temple is above it is because, in my opinion, the theming is slightly stronger, the gameplay is significantly better because it, while still being of the same quality of Forest Temple, is a little bit more experimental, so you get a lot of gameplay in this that you wouldn't get from Forest Temple. And on top of that, I just think that this level is more memorable than Forest Temple, at least for me. Both of them are memorable, by the way. I don't want to like sound like I'm downplaying Forest Temple. That's a fantastic level. It also made the list for a reason. But Desert Temple is a level stuck with me as just one of those levels that from the moment I hit the play button and started my first practice run, all the way to the moment I hit the end wall and beat the level, the entire experience was positive. I love Desert Temple. Now for my number 2 pick, I have probably the most controversial level on this list, and that is Future Funk by Jonathan GD. Future Funk ended up being the most positive experience I've ever had with a level. Going into it, I had nothing but dread because of not just the final 3 clicks at the end, because I kind of had this feeling that I knew I was going to die there, because the clicks are bad, and I still to this day don't agree with those clicks being put at the end. I really think that those 3 clicks are the worst part of the level. I was mainly afraid of this level because of the duel. I had such a hard time learning the duel, but I did the smart thing. I didn't force myself to keep grinding it. I kind of put it off and beat other duel levels to build my duel skill, and eventually, the Future Funk duel got consistent, and it ended up being really fun. I didn't struggle with it that much. And when that happened, this level kind of had this weird thing happen where, yeah, I figured I was gonna die to 99, and I actually did. I only died there once, and I consistently got to the end. It got to the point where literally every single attempt, I always passed the duel. I was that consistent, and I think what that did is it just gave me this hyper positive opinion on Future Funk, because the level does not feel as long as it is. It feels relatively short, and it's just a very relaxing level to play. I think Future Funk is fantastic, and I'm definitely glad that through all of my fears, I persevered and beat this level, because it is a ton of fun. And now, before we get to our number 1, let's discuss some honorable mentions. Now, before we even get into them, I want to say that 9 Circles I have listed in my document here as an honorable mention, but I've already pretty much discussed it in the Fairy Dust section of the video. I do, however, want to bring up more positives about 9 Circles, because I really only discussed it to sort of put it down while talking about Fairy Dust, and I do want to mention that for the most part, 9 Circles is a fantastic level. It's why it's here, because there's a reason the 9 Circles trend started. 9 Circles is definitely the first of its kind, and if you want to hear more of my thoughts on 9 Circles, I have an entire video reviewing the level, but at a baseline, I just want to say that this level really is only 2 flaws away from being one of my favorite hard demons. Even though I don't really like it that much, it's still not like a bad level or a level I dislike. It's just a level that I have mixed feelings on. I think it's a good level, and I did just want to make sure that I mentioned it. For my second honorable mention, I just wanted to bring up Temple of Time by DavJT. Temple of Time is an amazing level. This level was made in tribute to Mishi after he passed away, and my god, this is a fantastic tribute to Mishi. It represents the Temple series very, very well, and every single part is extremely well executed. So why didn't it make the list, and why is it an honorable mention? Because the gameplay sucks ass. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This level is not fun to play whatsoever. Keeping in mind that the only non-Mishi Temple level I've played aside of this is Gold Temple, I have heard horror stories about Arachnid Temple. I won't even touch it, but other than, you know, the ones that I haven't played, this is one of the worst playing Temple levels I've ever touched. I did want to mention it though, because I think that I can honestly ignore the gameplay and really appreciate this level. I just don't feel like I can honestly put it on the list just because of how much I dislike the gameplay in this level. That's basically it, really. Still a good level. My final honorable mention is PG Clubstep. This level was so close to making the list. I was basically, like, put it this way, it was a toss-up between Words, Words, Words and PG Clubstep, and the only reason PG Clubstep lost to Words, Words, Words is nostalgia. That's it. It is just nostalgia. This is basically number 11 on this list, and yeah, PG Clubstep, the thing that made it not make the list realistically is just that as much fun as I had with the gameplay, it's the kind of thing where you come out of it being like, oh, thank God that shit's over, and you never touch it again. And I think that that is just enough for it to be barred from making the list, sadly, because I'm gonna be honest, I loved PG Clubstep as much as I struggled with it and as bad as the gameplay is. It's a weird level to enjoy because most people hate this level. For whatever reason, I like PG Clubstep. I think this level is extremely fun and extremely overhated. Alright, so that takes care of the honorable mentions. So, for my final pick of the video, my number 1 best hard demon in Geometry Dash is Space Locked by Laser Blitz. This is a boss fight done right. There are so many boss fight levels in Geometry Dash, and they all get a bad rep, and it's always been kind of a toss-up of a question of what makes a level a good or a bad boss fight level. And for me, personally, the difference has always been how well indicated the boss's attacks are. Right? Because for some levels, the boss is mediocre, and that's mainly just because it's super indicated to the point where you're never gonna die to the boss and it's basically free. And this is why I think of stuff like Wild West by Dansman. As much as I love that level and it is a blast to play and the theming is great, the boss is one of the easiest parts because literally all you do is just follow arrows that are scattered throughout the entire part. It's a really lazy and bad way to indicate a boss level. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you have Serious by Funny Game, a level where it's basically just a memory level in disguise, but the worst kind of memory you could imagine. The only way you can get a boss fight level right is if you make it so that the boss is extremely well indicated, but it's also still difficult and you can die to the boss's attacks. The only way, in my opinion, you can make that work is if the boss attacks with the environment of the level. You know, they're throwing shit at you and all that kind of stuff. Or, in this level's case, the boss fires lasers at you and stuff like that, right? And in my opinion, Space Locked and Reanimation are the only two boss fight levels I have played that get this down perfectly. But I think I like Space Locked just a little bit more. The thing is, I am horrible at Duel. I mentioned it back in the Future Funk review a little bit earlier in the video that I beat a bunch of levels to prepare myself for the Future Funk Duel. This is actually one of those. I beat this before I beat Future Funk, and this is genuinely some of the most fun I've had with a level. I also beat Ultra Drivers for that, but Ultra Drivers, the hardest parts weren't the duels, so that was a bit of a weird experience. This level is just solid the entire way through. And I also gotta say, Laser Blitz duels are so hit or miss, but when they hit, they fucking hit. This is some of the best duel gameplay I have ever touched. And in general, I just think this level is fantastic. And can we also talk about the fact that this is like the only Deadlocked remake ever to have its own identity beyond Deadlocked by Rob Top? Like, that's really cool. It's kind of similar to TOE 3 by Manix, where it builds off of it and feels like the perfect sequel, right? Like, if Rob Top were to ever make Deadlock 2, I don't think he could make it better than Space Lock. And that's basically my opinion on it, and yeah, I fucking love Space Lock. This level rules. And those were my picks for the 10 best hard demons in Geometry Dash. Now, I will say, by the time this series is over, I'm probably going to make follow-ups to all of these for a very specific reason, and that gets into a disclaimer that I want to make right now that's kind of related to that idea. I am still beating levels actively in this game. A lot, right? And so these lists are not static, and they never will be. A level that was number 1, you know, a few months ago, might end up being number 2 because I find a new number 1. And so just keep in mind that this is just my favorite levels of these difficulties at this moment, and these lists could change at any point. I think I'm gonna slow down this series a little bit, and there's a reason for that. The Extreme Demons video I'm gonna make pretty quickly, mainly just because the best Extreme Demons in Geometry Dash, I'm kind of out of my wheelhouse on gameplay. So I'm purely just going to go off aesthetics and visuals because I really just haven't played enough Extreme Demons to have opinions on what a good Extreme Demon is. But the Insane Demons video is absolutely in my wheelhouse. I can very much just beat a bunch of Insane Demons and make a list out of the 10 that I like the most. The problem is that I have a pretty limited scope right now, and I haven't beaten a lot of Insane Demons, and so I'm probably gonna delay the Insane Demon video quite a bit. It's not, like, this video and the Insane Demon video are gonna have a larger gap than this video and the Easy Demon video did, because I really just want to make sure that I have a large enough ground to cover. Because, put it this way, every single time I pick up a new Insane Demon, it either becomes my least favorite or my favorite. Like, right now, I'm practicing Fish Base, which is the Fish Joke Down Bass remake, and it's already looking like that's going to be a list-worthy Insane Demon. To clarify, by list-worthy, I just mean, like, top 10 favorite Insane Demons, not like difficulty. And the past like 3 or 4 Insane Demons I've done have had that happen. It happened with Layak, it happened with Rupture, it happened with Super Mario Wave, and it's happening with Fish Base. So yeah, I just don't think I'm gonna make the Insane Demon video anytime soon. It's not that it's not gonna happen, it's just don't expect that to happen for, like, several years. That being said, I would really like to hear how you guys think of these levels. I know some of these levels are controversial, and I'm definitely interested to see your thoughts on them. So yeah, feel free to comment down below, and while you're there, why not subscribe to the channel? Also, I will be linking my Blue Sky in the description, and I'm trying to get more people to follow that, as I have been posting more to the Blue Sky, because it's basically just if Twitter didn't suck. So yeah, go ahead and follow me over there, and yeah. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.